What's going on, nation? AJ Reilly here with Eric Vincent for your favorite Detroit sports show, Beyond the Box. We are ripping and raring. It is a great week is ahead of us. I'm just ready for it. I'm ready for it. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about the NBA All-Star Game, Russell Westbrook, Tiger Woods, and maybe a little bit of trouble that he created himself. And then we also want to talk about the hottest topic, I think, in Detroit sports right now. It's not the Tigers. It's not the Pistons. It's not the Red Wings. It's Jalen Ramsey.
Oh, yeah.
So let's kick off our show there, and let's kick off our show with Jalen Ramsey. It's unknown whether or not the Rams want to get rid of him, dump his salary, all of that stuff. But if they do, Detroit is a landing spot. And if they do, Detroit has already laid the foundation of recruiting Jalen Ramsey with Amon-Ra St. Brown going on a podcast and saying, come to Detroit. Basically, that's what he said, right? The only way for us is up, is what he said. So, Eric, would you trade for Jalen Ramsey?
I absolutely would trade for Jalen Ramsey. I have been very vocal about the necessity of a player like Jalen Ramsey. Now, be clear. He is a player that you don't trade everything for. I'm not giving the kitchen sink for Jalen Ramsey. While I do think he could be a great upgrade for the secondary that is littered with young players, young, inexperienced players, I think a guy like Jalen Ramsey shores up that secondary immensely. I believe in today's NFL, you don't necessarily need a lockdown secondary to be successful or at the top of your defense. I believe a strong front seven with an experienced back four or five is what you need to truly succeed with a defense in the NFL. So I think looking at Okudah, who I think maybe be better suited in a number 2 spot, Jerry Jacob being a 3, maybe they draft another guy like Christian Gonzalez or Witherspoon or whoever else they go after. I still think you need a Jalen Ramsey veteran type star-esque player to shore in, whether it's a guy like Ramsey. I've seen Marshawn Lattimore's name thrown around from the Saints because they're going to have to do some cap unloading. I think those are 2 guys that should be at the top of their wish list in terms of the Lions. So I absolutely would be trading for Jalen Ramsey if I could.
I agree with you. Like you said, only if the price is right.
Yeah.
Okay, because here's the thing. I looked at his contract. He's going to make $17 million in 2023. It's a cap hit of $25.2 million, and if he's not on a roster, he's going to be $32.1 dead cap. Okay? But he has a potential opt-out going into the 2024 season.
Right.
So that's got to factor into the decision. The only way I'm trading for him if it does not involve the number 6 overall pick.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that either.
I would give up the 18th overall pick because I'm planning on drafting a not a wide receiver. God, Lord, I'm not. Especially after last week, I am not planning on drafting a wide receiver at 18.
No.
But I am, like, every mock draft that I have done, corner is what I'm targeting at 18.
For sure.
So if I trade the 18th overall pick for Jalen Ramsey, yes, there's going to be more involved in that, right? There might be one of our second rounds, maybe our 3rd round pick, something like that thrown in to sweeten the deal. Maybe a future, draft capital as well to get him. I think that you have to pull that trigger. You have to do that. If the Rams say, "Hey, give us 18, give us your 3rd, and give us a, 2nd round in 2024. I'm at least negotiating that for sure.
Yeah.
But what is untouchable is the number 6 overall pick.
I'm with you.
Because then if I trade for Jalen Ramsey at 18, right? Then with 6, if one of my defensive lineman guys or front 7 guys is not there, guess what's going to be on the shopping list? Or guess what's going to be on the offer list, I guess is the better way to say it, right? Like, hey, teams, you want number 6? You want the quarterback that somebody hadn't taken? Trade me for it and get more. Trade back because in looking at like our DSN draft Bible that I've been compiling and all that, the plethora of defensive front seven players that are available in these drafts that are going to go late first round, second round, third round, it's immense. You can get impact players there. And if you can, I love it. I mean, graded out as almost an 80 in PFF and coverage for Jalen Ramsey. We know he's a top corner.
Mm-hmm.
The salary goes down in 2024. If he stayed on the team, it'd only be $14.5 million. And then for some odd reason in 25 it jumps back up to $15.5 million. So you're not really breaking the bank to have this guy on your team.
Right.
And I don't know, I would love it. I think it would be great. We'd have to find Deshaun Elliott a new number, but I think those things can be worked out.
He's 28 years old, and it kind of lines up perfect with the Lions. Okay, their Super Bowl window. Would you agree that their window is probably around like a 3-4 year window?
Yeah,
maybe
3
not
to
even
4 years. It probably not 4. I would say like 2 to 3.
Cool.
Like next
No
year
problem.
they take a step forward, and then 2 years you got to go.
No problem.
That's the window.
So around then is basically the last really prime years of Jalen Ramsey, on top of the fact that his contract is going to be up after the next 3. So if let's say the Lions go to the playoffs, win the division, and they're showing promise, he's going to want to come back. I don't see him leaving after a successful boost of a year with Jalen Ramsey. And I feel like okay, let's take that number 18 pick. If you take that, it's more of a risk and a gamble to me drafting one of those rookies and waiting for them to develop than taking one of those experienced guys like Ramsey as a plug and play dude. Hey, bunch of young guys here. We need your presence. We need your demeanor to add on to what we got going. I think it's a perfect fit with the timeline, with his skill set, and what this roster is set up for. I think they really have a lot of ammo with that extra first and second, depending on what it would take to get him. So, yeah, I think that would be worth dealing for him.
What's a scenario where would you be willing at all to trade number 6 for Ramsey?
No way. I mean, okay. Only if the guys on my wish list are not there. If the D linemen are gone, go for it. Honestly, that's really the only ones I see. I've seen like offensive linemen maybe around that area, but it's not a whole lot of other position or players that I would want. I'm not taking a corner that high. I'm not drafting offense that high. Like, for me, if you have to maybe trade back, but then even again, I still want a prospect out of that early pick. I don't really want a guy that's basically going to be a rental. Like, he's not going to be here for 10 years.
Well,
so,
let me play devil's advocate for a second. And the reason why I want to do that is because there's a lot of mock drafts that have Devin Witherspoon going at 6 to the line.
Love him.
Yeah, and I do too. However, I think that's too high to draft a corner, a rookie corner.
Okudah, we've seen that, yeah.
Right. And that was, Okudah should have never been picked there anyways, but that's a topic for another discussion. Mm-hmm. If Miles Murphy, Tyrese Wilson, Will Anderson, Jalen Carter, and Brian Brisset,
mm-hmm.
if they're all off the list at 6, do you maybe call the Rams and go, hey, Ramsey for 6, maybe a 5th rounder next year
that we get back? You mean
we give them the 6th pick,
right?
They give us Ramsey
and a late rounder.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or I don't know if that's enough value. I haven't looked at the chart recently, but I was thinking like our 6th and a 5th rounder next year, or 6th rounder next year for Ramsey.
Mm-hmm.
Where essentially then again you're drafting you're drafting your corner at 6. It's not a rookie, it's an established guy that has a presence that you know. And then at 18, you get someone like, an Ika from Baylor, or, whoever, Van Ness, if you needed a Van Ness at 18. I don't know. Or even Brian Branch, the safety from Alabama.
Alabama, yeah.
I think they have enough options to make it happen. But do you wait until draft night?
Yeah, that's another question. When would you actually wait to pull that trigger? For me, I'm all for bringing him in. If it's a pick that high, I want it to be somebody that you're trying to invest in for the next 10 years. And they still need players like that. You need linebackers to do that.
For sure.
You need tackles for that. And I just feel like with his window, and again, the 18th pick is the extra pick. So if you want to invest in that, or maybe you finesse him with a second. I don't know. We don't know how much they want to get rid of him, or if they do or don't. We're just saying if there's a way that maybe you can find a way to like finesse, then go for it. But I wouldn't gamble that high. He's not a type of player I gamble. If I just talked about Marshawn Lattimore, I'd rather give that 6 for Lattimore than Ramsey because he's younger, he's better, he's played under Aaron Glenn before going back to New Orleans. I would much rather gamble on that for Lattimore than Ramsey at this point.
You make an interesting point about investing in the future, but we still have that 18th overall pick, right? So, like, you're going to get that guy that could be a future piece at 18. Plus, don't forget two second-round picks and a third-round pick, right? 5 picks within the top 81.
Right.
I think there's a ton of options. I think it would be incredible for the Lions to make a move like that. Mm-hmm. The free agency starting here pretty quick. I think we're going to get a lot of answers about what their draft strategy is going to be. We really hope that it doesn't involve a quarterback because I don't really think there's anyone worth drafting at 6, like in the first round for sure. We'll see. I don't know. If you were to place a bet, what's the likelihood that Jalen Ramsey wears the Honolulu blue next year?
I don't lie, man. I think it's kind of high. Like, I might just be tripping, but we know that the Rams and the Lions have been calling and dealing with each other for the past few years. Brad Holmes has familiarity with that organization. He fits. Looking at all the other teams that might go after him, I just don't see like that being the perfect. I see the Lions being that perfect destination. They're gonna give you what you want. Sure. You're gonna be the man out there. I'm giving it again. You have players recruiting and pitching that. You see guys in the Pro Bowl talking about how cool Dan Campbell is. Like, Detroit's a destination out here. Like, that's a fact. We're not just pumping smoke. Who would have thought? We
knew it. We knew it. I mean, we're Detroit guys. We know that Detroit is a place to be.
I didn't expect it this fast.
I didn't expect it either. And truthfully, like, we know the city in and of itself, it's had its hard times. But like, we love this city. This is a great city. Like, there's a reason to be here. Yes. Especially when the Lions are good. And the Lions are pretty darn good.
Yes, in a bad NFC. Come on.
Fan-freaking-tastic. It's going to be exciting. April's right around the corner. I mean, we've got Tigers baseball and the Pistons ending their season, and the Red Wings making a playoff push as well. Oh, yeah. April's getting March and April are going to be exciting. It's great. It's great, and there's going to be a lot to talk about. That's why you need to continue to tune in to Beyond the Box. Now, what I want to do, Eric, is I want to transition again to the hardwood, from the gridiron to the hardwood. That seems to be our transition for whatever reason, but this is more of a national thing. Doesn't really affect the Pistons too much, but that's okay, even though Mr. Westbrook was mentioned as coming to the Pistons, rumored a few times. You know, Russell Westbrook, I think, is getting a bad rep. Okay? And now listen, hold on a second.
Jerry Jacobs, strap myself in. All right.
Hold on. Yeah, but listen. I was in your shoes. Well, anytime he was mentioned to the Pistons, I was like, no way. But at the same time, I'm sitting here thinking and wondering, like, is he really the problem with the Lakers?
No.
Or was, because Russell Westbrook was traded from the Lakers to the Utah Jazz. The Jazz are now buying out his contract, and it is rumored and reported that his agent said that he's going to be signing with the Clippers, that is going to be reuniting him with Paul George. Now, what I say is about him getting a bad rap is I don't think he was the problem with the Lakers.
Okay.
That's what I think that he got that bad rap. Like, listen, there was a lot of issues with Oklahoma City and all. Like, I get that, okay? But he was not the problem in LA. Sure, he didn't fit with LeBron, but LeBron's the one that wanted him on the team. that's not Russell's problem.
Yep.
Okay? He kind of became the odd man out. Now he's going to eventually end up with the Clippers. Right now, I mean, literally playing in the same arena as the Lakers at this point.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of him reuniting with Paul George?
I like it. I will say this, though. Russell Westbrook for the past 10 years has been my least favorite player in the NBA. I don't like Russell Westbrook at all. Like, I've never seen a player take momentum away from a team as much as Russell Westbrook did. I've never, like, the OKC days where he would come down and KD's heating up or Harden's heating up, and then here comes Russ, 100 miles an hour, just playing terrible basketball on his own. But I do like this fit for the Clippers. They get rid of Reggie Jackson. Well, they get rid of Reggie Jackson, who's now with the Nuggets. And they have a good flow with Terrence Mann in the backcourt as their point guard next to Paul George. So they don't have to necessarily start Russell Westbrook. He can go back to the bench like he was just doing with the Lakers. Now, rumored is that he wants that to be a part of the reason that he comes there, which, again, it still could happen. But with this team, with the firepower they have a lot of guys that can get a lot of good rotational minutes on this team. And with Tyronn Lue, I think he'll probably be the best coach that Russ has ever played for, because everybody else has let him get away with whatever he wanted to do. Every coach. I think Ty Lue reels that in. I think Paul George reels that in, who's a friend of his. Kawhi, who's looking to be another champion. Like, they're not far, even in a tight Western Conference, which is separated between like 3-4 games.
Very tight. Yeah, I got it right here. So they are the number 4 seed right now. So they're pretty firmly into the playoffs. They're, I think, 5 games back of the number 1 seed.
Okay.
But they only have a 2.5 game lead over the number 9 seed.
Mm-hmm.
So they very easily could play themselves out of a playoff spot.
Mm-hmm.
And so the question becomes, like, does this become a distraction? Like, Westbrook not being a problem in LA with the Lakers, like, that wasn't his fault. Still doesn't necessarily excuse everything that you were just talking about, right? Because I agree with you that, you know, why did he average a triple-double for a season? Well, because he never really passed the ball and he doesn't play defense, right? It's kind of like a one-man show in a lot of ways, which we talked about the NBA product and how it's all clear-outs and one-on-ones at this point anyway. Does that become a problem for the Los Angeles Clippers? It does if they start him right away, in my opinion.
Yes.
If he walks in from day one and he's penciled into the starting lineup, you're looking at a situation where this team is going to play themselves out of a playoff berth.
Absolutely.
If he comes in and goes to the bench, and he was not, I don't have the numbers right in front of me, and I should have, but off the bench in LA, he was still averaging
close to a triple-double.
Good, number, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But defensively, he's a problem.
Yep.
As and that's an issue, I think, for the Clippers. It's going to be really interesting. Paul George, he did comment on it, and he was kind of like, yeah, I think it would improve our team for sure, but if it doesn't happen, we have the guys to make it happen.
Right.
So he was kind of like blasé about the whole thing, right? He's like, yeah, it'd be great, but also maybe not.
Also,
I don't really know what to make of those comments. Like, he goes out of both sides of his mouth. Like,
yeah,
bring them, but also maybe don't bring them. I don't really know.
The good news is kind of good news because it kind of puts him on a short time window, because the Clippers are 33-28, so they only have 21 games left to play this second half.
Right.
Second half, because it's post All-Star break. They consider the second half, which we'll talk about in a second. But at this point, they only need him to be on his best behavior, so to speak, for 20 games.
Right.
Then once the postseason comes, where they got to play their best ball, and a lot of those guys ratchet it up and play very solid, disciplined basketball, I think the Clippers can still be in a good spot. I don't think they're favorites now with Russ, but they could be a sneaky dark horse team around where they are.
Yeah, well, let's squeeze that in, right? The All-Star game just happened last weekend.
Yes.
Jason Tatum set a record for scoring 55 points, which, like, great. You were playing horse. There was no defense. Like, what in the... Why are we celebrating breaking a a record of having okay, you scored 55 points. I get it. 27 of them in the third quarter. Great. Congratulations, you put the ball in the bucket, which is what you're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody's playing defense. Like, can you even count that?
No.
I don't know. This whole thing is becoming a charade. It's a circus. In the NBA All-Star game, like many All-Star games, they're dumb. Can we just pause the game, like pause the season for a week, let the players get away and not do this stupid stuff anymore?
Just X that out completely.
Just get rid of it. Like, had you bought tickets for that NBA All-Star game?
I'd be curious.
Yeah,
I'd be
because
sick to my stomach.
Even Mike Malone, coach of the Utah Jazz, who was coaching one of the All-Star teams at Team Giannis, interviewed after the game, and he goes, "Yeah, it was like fun and an honor to be out here, but that was the worst basketball game I've ever seen, and it was really difficult to sit through." That's your head.
Jalen Brown said that too from the Celtics. Like, oh, it was a glorified layup drill.
It was.
Why did y'all play like it wasn't then? I don't get that.
And then you got a G Leaguer, Mac McClung, who won the dunk contest.
Yeah. At this point, the Rising Stars has become more entertaining than the All-Star game. But okay, I'm gonna give out some blame, and I think I know how to do this. So at this point, I think players are responsible. I definitely think they deserve a lot of cope in what this is. I also think the media deserves some blame too.
Okay.
I really do. And I heard this, I was watching Nick Wright, and he just said this beautifully, and I cannot agree with him more. The media has become, what's the word? Okay, I got one. The media has become postseason purists, where literally nothing but the postseason matters. Regular season, get it out of here. All-Star game, who cares? Even in the regular season, postseason games, period, they don't even talk about the first three quarters. It's the fourth quarter and the championship that they always want to talk about. So now, if I'm a player and if I'm seeing that, and if I'm paying attention to the media, why am I sitting up here going hard for the regular season? All y'all care about is the championship anyway. Y'all don't care about the All-Star game. Why don't I just preserve my body, do this load management, and get myself as prepared as I can for the postseason? A lot of players do that, and it seems like that it could be a response to postseason purists, as I'm going to call them now.
Yeah, man, I don't know. It's not a good product, though.
It's not. It's definitely not. It's horrible.
I miss the Vince Carter dunk contest.
Yes.
That was so exciting. Mm-hmm. And I love skills competitions, right? Like, those are really, like, the only all-star festivities I really like to tune into because they're fun to watch, right? A three-point contest is cool. Mm-hmm. Like, the dunk contest was cool. It's not so much anymore.
Horrible.
But, you know, on ESPN they were talking, and I thought it was a great conversation. Stephen A was like, because you don't have any superstars in this.
Yep.
Why am I tuning into the dunk contest to see Mac McClung? Nothing against Mac McClung. He did a great job. Phenomenal job going after and really, like, wanting it and doing some of the things that he did were really incredible. Mm-hmm. But he's not a superstar. He's had 2 games in the NBA.
That's it. And I ain't gonna lie, I'll take it a step further. I don't try to be controversial. A big reason he got the pub he got is because he's white.
Sure.
If he was a no-name
Stephen A
black
even
player,
said
nobody would have cared about Matt McClung. Because he's white, he's different. It adds flair to the game. It's cool, but you just said it. There's no stars. It's no Zion, no Ja Morant, LeBron, who Stephen A put a lot of the blame on, which I kind of agree with. And it's accurate in my assessment. I really do.
Okay, so. But like LeBron should not be in the dunk contest, in my opinion.
Not
at
this
why?
point, no.
Even in his whole career, you know why? LeBron has one freaking dunk. One dunk. He does the same dunk every time.
You don't think he's a creative dunker?
No.
That's fair.
No, I do not at all.
He's a power dunker. He's probably
all it's gonna be is him reaching that arm back and throwing it down as hard as he can. That's it. That's all he can do. He never puts 2 hands on the ball to dunk. He never does any type of like backwards dunk. Probably would get dizzy spinning around at this point. So it's not even worth having LeBron James in the dunk contest because all you're gonna get is one dunk the entire time. So it's not worth it. And it's the same thing with the other sports, right? Like the NHL All-Star Game, not great. The MLB All-Star Game, I think, may be the best All-Star Game because they're like actually playing. Okay.
Totally agree.
But still, the festivities for me are more fun than the game itself. Like the home run derby, especially since they've made the changes where they put them on a clock, and it's no longer just until you get 10 outs. It's you have 2 minutes to hit as many. Like, I think it's great. They definitely have to figure out. Like the Pro Bowl itself can just go away.
It's a joke. Yeah,
it can just be buried and be done with, because this is like. I even watched like they had like that incredible catch competition.
Yeah,
it was so stupid.
I didn't care for that.
Yeah, like it was just dumb. Can we just stop with the festivities? Let the players have a week break. They need a week break. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
But those guys that are competing in the All-Star Weekend, they don't get that.
No, they just go.
And so that's probably adding to the fact that they just don't want to compete.
That's what it seems like.
They want to preserve their body, as you talked about, in all the sports, which I don't blame them.
Yep.
I don't blame them at all. I just
could use. I mean, they could.
Can we gotta stop the charade. Have a Rising Stars game. You know what?
That's yes.
Use the first and second year players.
Yes.
Maybe get the top 10 G League players to play. You know what I'm saying? Like, because who really pays attention to the G League other than us? Because you're doing a fantastic job covering the Motor City.
Shout out Motor City Cruise.
Yeah, there you go. Right? Like,
yes, sir.
I mean.
But
baseball I don't know. We just got to do away with it. Okay. Go ahead. What? You got one more?
No, I had a suggestion a while ago. I don't know if it's ever gonna happen, but like I want them to take on take 3, like not even superstars. If you get like a Jaden Ivey, a Jalen Green, rising young talent guys who are high flyers, put them up against 3 viral YouTube dunkers. Let them go in and do creative contests together. Winner gets something donated to charity. The YouTubers can sit front row at a game. I don't care, whatever. Put them in it because they're more exciting than what these players are giving us right now.
Even Stephen A had the idea of getting the top 10, like have a contest, like walk the streets of New York and get 10 people to sign up for the dunk contest, sponsored by an NBA All-Star, and the winner gets $1 million. The second place gets 500,000, and the third place gets 100,000. And you get people from all over the country that apply to be in there. Maybe they send in videotapes, whatever the case is. You pick the top 10. Boom. That would be more entertaining.
Yeah.
It'd be way more entertaining.
And
anyways,
even if they're like,
I don't know.
even if they're missing dunks, like it doesn't look as bad as NBA players do it. So I'm with
for
you.
Sure. Okay. So final topic. Let's move to, a sport that we don't cover a lot, but I know that we both play.
I try, at least.
Oh, come on. Well, we are for sure getting out this summer and going to play. We have to. Golf. There was a tournament this weekend. The Genesis Invitational at Riviera Country Club in California. Tiger Woods is the host and also created a little controversy. Now, before we get into the controversy, let me tell you this. Tiger Woods shot 2 over for the tournament. He did make the cut. Was his first appearance this season, and anytime Tiger plays golf, it's a big deal at this point. I still always will continue to root for him whenever he is in a tournament. As I've told people throughout my life, I love Tiger Woods. He's probably my favorite athlete of all time. I try to model my golf game after him, not my life choices after him. However, he did shoot +2. Jon Rahm did win the tournament at 17 under. But what people are talking about is a little photo that got leaked. And I don't remember if it was during the first round or practice round or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But Tiger Woods outdrove Justin Thomas, who is a buddy of his. And somebody caught him passing an object to JT in jest. And that product was a feminine hygiene product, which clearly was a joke, but became all the outrage on the internet. So, Eric, I'm going to ask you, are you in on this controversy? Are you mad about it? Are you offended by it? What are your thoughts on Tiger Woods?
Tiger Woods was 100% wrong.
Okay.
Nobody wants to say that, but Tiger's wrong, guys. Listen, people, okay. I am a fan, and I want people to listen to me when I say this. I'm a fan to an extent of cancel culture. I'll tell you why. I like the fact that it gives power to the people to call out things that they don't like, to maybe rewrite some new norms and ways of respect of other people. This is what this comes down to. Was it a joke between those two? Absolutely. I used to caddy. I've seen those jokes played before, and granted, it's not gonna get taken like social media pictures and put all over the place like a Tiger Woods interaction. But in this moment here, Tiger's wrong. He's wrong. He's making a joke at the expense of women, referring to them as the weaker sex. Like, that is the joke. For people pushing back on that, a lot of it has been men that I've seen. You don't get to speak for other people or whether the joke was appropriate or inappropriate. If women are saying that this is an inappropriate joke and it offends them, then it's offensive. If you have kids and they're getting bullied at school, you're not going to sit there and tell them, oh, well, the kid can say what he wants. It was just a joke. It's their their freedom of speech. You're not going to do that. You're going to stand up and tell the kid, stand up to the kid, or go face the kid and their parents. Because it was disrespect. It's not about being sensitive. It's about respecting people around you. That's all it's about. Tiger was wrong. He handled it accordingly. He didn't push back. He said, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. It was a joke. Moved on. Cool. No problem.
Yeah.
But he's wrong.
So I agree with you
Okay.
in the respect aspect. The problem that I get into is when we start to let people dictate, I would say, norms. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. We should be respectful of everybody. We should not be out there seeking to be offended by things. But at the same time, the whole idea of a cancel culture has to be handled, I think, the way this weekend was handled, in the sense that a lot of cancel culture has created this unredeemable quality in mankind. I'm offended, you're canceled, nothing will fix that. But it seems as though, in the sense, Tiger owned up to his mistake, and we have to be a people, like, I agree with you, we have to be a people, we have to be sports fans and internet people and all that kind of stuff that is respectful of people. But when somebody messes up, we also have to give them the grace available to redeem themselves.
I agree with that 100%.
Okay?
Yep.
And a lot of times that's not how it works. Like, talking heads will get on there and be like, I'm so offended. Well, great. But are you also going to acknowledge the fact that he apologized?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, like, yes, you can be offended by that, 100%. But this was also a joke. Would it have been different if there were no props used? 100%.
Sure.
The failure, the problem was the prop.
Yes.
Because if he would have just looked at him and made an offhanded comment that I will not say, or called him something, you know what I'm saying? That doesn't get this press. The issue was the prop.
Right.
First of all, like, premeditated, because I know he's not just carrying that.
Right. Hey, Tiger got a new endorsement or something. Like,
come on, man. Well, he needs it after every endorser dropped him. But I'm with you. Like, it was a mistake. It was in bad taste. It should not have been done. But that's also Tiger Woods. Like, if you see interviews or you watch anything on Tiger Woods, Tiger is not the most socially adept person.
No, he's definitely not.
And I get it. Like, he thought it was acceptable. It wasn't acceptable. He owned up to it at this point. But the moment he owned up to it, now we move on. Right?
Yes.
It's time to move on. Like, he owned up. Great. Here's that, let your actions prove that. And let's move on. Let's not continue to talk about it. I know we're continuing to talk about it a couple days after it happened. I get it, but this is when we're recording, so that's when it's going to happen. It's time to move on, though.
Yep.
You can be offended. That's great. Be offended. But if that person apologizes or that person, looks to fix things, don't write them off completely. Yes. And because that's a lot of what the problem has become.
Totally agree. That's the difference right there. Because a lot of times what we see lately is when someone's called out on something, a comedian comes out, oh, we can't tell jokes anymore.
Yeah.
Well, you can. You just got to be funny and respectful. That's really all you got to do. Tiger owned up to it immediately. We
Yeah.
called them on it and said, hey, I didn't mean it to be offensive. For those who did take it that way, I get it. I'm sorry. Boom. At this point, yeah, it's no point in canceling Tiger. There are levels to, I don't want to say canceling, but there are levels.
Tiger
of
hasn't been canceled already, he's not getting canceled.
Exactly. He ain't going nowhere, bro. He's like carrying that sport.
Yeah. So listen. Tiger Woods is back golfing. I think that's the bigger story.
Should be, yeah.
And we should be looking forward to the Masters in April because you know he's going to be there. Hopefully he doesn't, re-injure his leg or anything like that. It's going to be an exciting time. Listen, we're coming to the end of February, which means we got March Madness right around the corner. Yes. We've got spring training starting at the end of this week. We've got basketball playoffs coming up, NHL playoffs coming up. We got the draft in April for the NFL. It's going to be a hot time for topics, which means that we are coming to you tonight on Tuesday night, and we will also be publishing another video on Friday. So you're going to get double the Beyond the Box for your liking because we know that we are your favorite Detroit sports show. And with that, we're going to sign off. He's Eric. I'm AJ. We will see you when our next video drops.